Nick, you've built a groundbreaking platform powered by AI and built around creator identity. How do you define ownership in this new era of synthetic expression?
So for us, like for context, it's kind of a AI OnlyFans-esque platform, so a bit different from the other guys. But I think one of the interesting things about the adult industry is that it's typically the Trojan horse for like pretty much every major technological adoption. So we're thinking of it as like a bit of a different kind of point away from the big guys, which we can grow like a base. But I think everything kind of applies to the general creator economy as well. So the way that we're thinking about it is that we're targeting creating AI versions of real-world creators and kind of enabling them to leverage their IPs and their brands and their audiences with the tooling of AI. So for us, it's really important that that creator owns everything to do with it. Just from the offset, we're kind of seeing it as we have our platform, but we're also a way for basically these creators to be able to plug into any other kind of platform as well via our API. So we're wanting to be the home with which a creator can come in a very trustworthy way, create like their digital identity, register that as an NFT, so everyone's very clear what the rights are, who owns what. And then they have ultimate control over their identity. So they can go and engage with fans on our platform. They would own all content that comes out the other side of that. And then also be able to influence, create other content, generally just everything that they can do as a human themselves, they would be able to do through their AI form. And that's all registered on the blockchain and their ownership by an NFT. So yeah, it basically just enables them to leverage these amazing tools and not get cut out by them. And now just as the owner of that identity, then they can make all the money from that as well.
I love the Trojan horse analogy for mass adoption. Back in the day, we got quicker internet because we wanted to switch from spicy pictures to streaming spicy videos. Yep. And that often leads the need for technology to rise to the occasion. So let's talk about protection and monetization in this wild, wild west era of emerging tech. With AI making it easy to replicate and resell creative work, how do we build systems that protect and reward original IP? How can we make sure our work gets used in the generative AI process, whether it's art or data, we will be part of the journey and adequately incentivized to be so? So my first question is to Anastasiia. You're also building VR to give IP creators more tools and introduce more licenses data to AI processes. What do you see is the way forward in the reality of AI companies training models on the publicly available copyright?
I would say, like, whether you like it or not, but AI companies did scrape everything they could. In the last 2 months, we talked to over 80 AI teams and also found out that most of the founders of AI companies, again, didn't have the understanding or didn't have the way to actually approach the creators and brands. And I think just yesterday, Reddit basically filed a case that Anthropic used most of its data without having anything licensed in that case, and that Anthropic, they were trying to reach to Anthropic many, many times to like, hi, you're using our data, it's against our terms and conditions, we can negotiate on that, just like a lot of social media companies did, or like New York Times did, is filing now OpenAI, but actually working with Amazon on that. I would say that like the main issue here lies that whether you like it or not, it's happening. So like my point of view and our take from VR is not to antagonize the sides, just to take the things the way they are, that there was definitely a bit of a gap, so to say, in the legal understanding of the term basically of the free use or of the fair use. And a lot of AI companies are still like saying that fair use should apply because they did use content which they found across the internet publicly for research and educational purposes. However, all of them do monetize. They do raise incredible rounds, they do commercialize via subscriptions or other different methods. So I think that the consensus to be found here is to build a system where licensing from creators and brands is not supposed to take a year. Like what still makes me surprised every time is that the bigger the brand, the longer the cycle. So let's say if you want to license from Disney, Nike, Warner Bros, a lot of other brands, it would take you at least 6 months. And it's if you are, kind of a high-level check. So if you're, let's say, a game producer, or maybe you're a single artist or a designer, you may pound on this door for many, many months and not get any response back. And that's also what a lot of AI teams have seen. They tried to reach out, but because the process is so slow and they needed data right here and right now, they did scrape everything which was available. So in my point of view, and my team would share it, is that the way forward is to establish a simple way to license and trace the usage of IP, in that case, the usage of content from artists and brands to AI companies. Is it going to take some time? Yep. Other AI founders who think that there should be no IP, as we all have seen on X with some posts, of course. But I would say it's rather the outliers, kind of in a negative sense of it, than the major understanding, because IP is a cornerstone of having a company, of having a technology that you can monetize. So if we don't respect IP from artists and brands, then there should not be respect to IP of technology and of founders of companies. So I think we have this beautiful phrase in Ukrainian, like, don't cut the wood which you are sitting on, like, don't cut the branch of a tree if you are sitting on it. So like, that's the analogy I would give. Like, we have to find a way to streamline IP licensing rather than trying to say that there is a good and a bad side. It's technology and evolving world. Everybody did what they could.
We say don't cut the rug on the bear while the bear is still alive, which I think translates well. But yeah, a couple of years ago, Guy Kawasaki was talking about feeding the content monster. Now we have a data monster that we need to feed.
Yep.
But in the era of generative AI, the monster is also hungry for original IP. Nick, your platform empowers creators to scale using AI. Can you tell us more about the mechanics of safeguards that you baked in to ensure they don't lose control of their own image or content?
Yep. So at the base level, we do DMCA protection. So what would be happening with kind of any platform in our space? I think what's interesting about our particular use case or situation is that it's a high velocity of content, and the individual value of each piece of content is lower. So we're not protecting the same level of IP as some other cases where they're kind of just higher value individual objects. This is like each image has its own value and has its own IP associated with it. So we've looked into solutions which I think are really promising, where you can kind of add a cryptographic invisible stamp to content. You can follow that around the internet and be able to identify and then protect against content. I think that's really powerful. What we're finding though is that technology is pretty early on, and for our use case where it's a high velocity of content, it costs around, let's say, 20 cents, 50 cents per stamp that you add to the content, but it also takes a certain amount of time to add that stamp. And what we're finding for our particular use case is when we offer it to creators actually don't want that cost and that time kind of interfering with the experience with the users, that they're opting out of those sorts of protections. And I think basically the undercurrent that's happening, at least in our space with this high velocity, is that the actual value of content just goes down to basically zero. And the distribution goes so high because there's kind of no opportunity cost of a creator creating content with this user versus that one, this platform versus that one. So I think just the fundamental economics change, and like where value is created in the process changes. And in some ways, it just eliminates the black market. That if black markets are basically created where there's either like too big of a gap between what a user or a person is willing to pay and what the price is, and if it isn't easily accessible to that person, then they might get it in an alternative way. So I think what's happening is with AI creating all this content, bringing the value of the content down to zero, it actually just eliminates the need for a black market in the first place, because it goes to more value about personalization, those sorts of things. So there isn't actually much of a black market in the space which we're operating in, compared to something like OnlyFans, where because the gap between what a user is willing to pay is so great compared to what the price of it is, there's then like an incentive for people to actually take that content, leak it onto other sites, even charge for access to that content, where for us that just doesn't exist. So in a way it kind of just solves itself. But then there are these additional measures which you can add on top if you want to, like the cryptographic invisible stamps, which I think are cool.
That's amazing, because that's this unique characteristic of adult entertainment, the granularity of the content, and each content as an individual asset, making it almost a financial game, just with a bit of spice added to it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Olska, you've been public about navigating deepfake and content misuse risks. How do you see creators defending their digital presence and their image, which is their IP, effectively?
I think that's especially deepfake. I think, yeah, it's especially now in transition transformative period, and maybe some of the creators just playing in their very dangerous roles. That so, of course, lawyers or some we should be we should create ethically. So we should create something that's not like if you have rights for famous people that live now, or you create something from. I remember that 70 years from the death of the popular famous people, you can create with these faces, right? But if you use like more than popular people, you should be like. I think it's a dangerous game. So for me, if honestly, I'm from fashion, not from IP and like very like low. For me, it's like creating something impressive, something with purpose, with something unusual, but ethically, of course. And for me also, for clothes, it's about DPP passport, that's all. So I don't know deeply with all these laws and rights. So for me, it's just to create ethically and AI vision and to protect the clients with authenticity. So that's why. And I think everything, it will be with the field of rights and IP.
So starts with ethical vision and intention,
Yeah.
but then gets amplified by the use of right technology,
Yes,
like the DPP.
yes, yeah.
All right, so let's dive deeper into scaling culture without losing control. AI helps creators scale, but it also tempts them to automate, maybe even too much. How does one grow their presence without losing creative identity? How can they maintain the trust and connection with their audiences while leveraging scale? Nick, we're heading into the world of digital twins. It's very obvious. I think also H&M went very big on it with their models. How do you navigate the line? Apologies. How do you navigate the line between scaling content but also making sure that all of the people that are following a given creator still feel like they're part of their, let's say, community, that we get brand amplification without brand dilution while maintaining that trust and connection to the creator's audience?
I think it's pretty difficult because there's obviously just so many incentives and like temptations to just keep kind of expanding your brand and doing more things. So I think it's a bit of a, obviously, yeah, thrown about word, but like authenticity is just kind of key. So I think for us, like an example, on Monday, we launch a digital twin of a celebrity called Katie Price. So in the UK, she's like relatively big. But what's most interesting is that we're bringing back like a version of her from 20 years ago. So for her, for the actual creator here, it's pretty crazy for her because like this version of her life is over. She can't like access that again. It's just like a part of her life from the past. But now we're bringing that back where it sounds like her from that day. It looks like her. It speaks like her from that day, which is pretty crazy for her, but then also for a fan. Like if you wanted to be able to have an experience or a conversation with that person from that era, and that's now just not possible, doing something like this is like authentic to what users want from that person. But it's a completely new use case as well. So it's an expansion of what that creator is able to do and what they're able to monetize, but in an authentic way where it's not just kind of using that IP or that brand or that creator for something completely different. So I think the opportunities are that with AI, there's very little opportunity cost of doing one thing over another. But creators would have to be careful about keeping that relatively focused and deep around what they're actually known for, so that it's not just like your AI identity or digital twin being used for every single thing under the sun, because part of the allure of creators is that like exclusivity and the selection. So if Kendall Jenner is now just the AI face of every single brand on earth, it kind of loses the point of what a Kendall Jenner collaboration looks like. So yeah, I think it's about being authentic, going deeper into each use case, which means that you can now do more within your field, but resisting the temptation from just trying to be everything to everyone.
You just blew my mind. So not only you extend the creative lifespan of a creator, but essentially extend their career. And now we can have Kylie Jenner forever, if she agrees, of course.
Yep.
That's amazing. So Olska, you've been an authentic brand for content. What advice would you give to emerging fashion creators on building long-term value before monetizing?
Yeah, you can, of course, automate your business processes with AI, for sure, to speed up your workflow, to speed up business processes. You can create also digitally first with the AI and then already produce physically, so it's also a sustainable approach. Also to have also maybe digital twins of models, AI models, AI campaign, AI fashion shows. So to create first digitally and then produce physically. This is, I think, it's the new era of pre-orders and digital first and production then. Without stocks and without textile waste. And also, of course, human touch is also valuable, and still people need people for sure. And of course, you just don't need to hope that only pixels will create your brands. No, of course, you can have AI models, you can have AI agents, you can have automation in your processes, but still we should be human. And of course, human feel human, so we need people need people. So that's why please keep your heart and keep your feelings when you create something special. Yeah.
I love the point that you made, because in the end of the day, it all needs to start from a human.
Yeah.
And of course, we have the era of AI influencers, but in
Yeah.
my eyes, a synthetically scaled up version of a human is
Yeah.
always kind of going to outperform someone that is truly a synthetic creation
Yes.
and has no anchorage to the real world.
Yes.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Anastasia, what kind of infrastructure do you think needs to exist for creators to both scale and retain legal control of their work?
That's a good question, Blake, because I believe that I am contributing to building one in that case. So I think like the main difference of the infrastructure which was needed before and is needed now is the speed. Most of the licensing cases and licensing processes, they do take between 6 to 12 months. For big brands, it can be even between 12 months and 24 months. So it can take 1.5 years to license from a giant like Disney, for instance. And it's tough to not understand how it's coming to be, because you have legal, tech, finance, sales teams, licensing teams. Some types of deals have to also go to the executive level to be confirmed. So there is a lot of like negotiations part, which we cannot take out. But what I feel is needed to be done, and that's what me and my team are doing, is to cut the rest of the processes which can be automated and simplified. For instance, I spent a year of my career just doing the licensing agreements. So for half of my day, I would copy-paste, doing the legal and financial work basically to make the deals between opera houses, gaming companies, fashion brands to happen. And I think that's the main thing why blockchain is contributing to it, because it helps to pack all of these processes into one smooth line. We talked to over 900 companies, and in most of cases, they use between 10 to 15 different technologies to just enable license and deal to happen. Sounds crazy, but like 5 types of storages, 2 types of CRMs, 3 types of contract management and invoice management systems. So all of it is taking so long because we created it to be so long. So there is no actual need to hold off the deal for that long if it can be simplified at some steps. So what we've built at VArt is exactly the infrastructure, which is able to be transferred in full to any brand or creator we work with. Recently, we also started partnering up with sports teams and licensing agents, so people who manage IP, not only like own and monetize what they have created or their teams have built. And the difference in that I see is that people who are actually in charge of monetization, they do get it that, oh my God, like the processes we used to have are definitely very, very slow. And I think it's the main reason why we have so many collisions in digital space and in AI space, because we have the fresh blood coming from technology, not having any background, so to say, in arts, fashion, or luxury, music, or gaming, and they do have respect to tech side and to automation, but don't understand why big brands have to be kept so far behind sometimes on the tech side. So a way forward, I think, is to onboard the infrastructures which help you to be more efficient and to spend less time on bureaucracy and more on creativity. Well, in terms of scaling with monetization, I would heavily recommend not to neglect AI as a new recurring revenue source. That's something that my team and I are working on right now, basically how to help to pack your data into data sets and license it to AI companies, so they would be paying you whenever your IP is even being used. Let's say you ask ChatGPT, can you make me an image of a luxury bag? We would know that the specific brand has already provided IP to the specific AI company. ChatGPT was just an example. And we would be able to trace and basically make you paid, get you paid, like YouTube or Spotify is doing on a recurrent basis. I think that the consensus on monetization is something that we need to move forward, because totally agree with Olska, like we always see when there is a human input in it, and there is a much, much higher value if we know that the specific creator or specific brand did put their stamp of approval and did put their creativity into it. So yeah, I think that's a way forward. Streamline processes, keep your mind open to new monetization opportunities and stuff.
I see a theme in your answers that big licensing could use that high velocity that Nick was mentioning, that everything could be moving quicker and everybody would benefit. All right, so we're getting to the end of our amazing conversation, and I would just to ask for a short round question for each panelist. So, going forward into the future, what's one benefit that technology needs to provide so we can grow scale while maintaining creative sovereignty? And after your answer, also please tell people where to find you and follow you so they can learn more about your work. Let's start with Olska.
Yeah.
So short answer can be very abstract. Scale, but with sovereignty in the creative act.
Yeah. Authenticity, originality, and DPP passport. I believe in DPP passport because yes, it's the decision for fashion industry, because you know fake fashion is approximately the same market like original market fashion. So that's why we should have the decision to wear only original clothes. And so yeah, authenticity, and yeah, you can find me in LinkedIn, Olska Green, and we will help also fashion brands to automate AI processes and with AI business processes and creation. So yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Anastasia?
I do agree with authenticity, but on the side of attribution, so to say, when we can really classify which creator did or did not take part in this creation. So basically all of the social media and AI companies would gradually adopt mentioning who was actually taking part in it and no. If no, then there are amazing laws like EU AI Act coming to help speed it up, but I believe that it's just what we are already heading to in terms of attribution. Attribution, authenticity, and just genuine respect to each other, because it doesn't matter what we create, is it art or is it technology, we are all in the same space. We are labeled as creative industries. IT is also a creative industry, so mutual respect is important. Best way to find me is LinkedIn, but I also have same name, surname on Telegram, WhatsApp, Twitter, like whatever else, feel free to reach out.
All right, perfect. Nick?
I think the biggest opportunity is in eliminating opportunity costs. So just being able to be in more than one place at a single time, I think is the biggest unlock for creators. So the cost of generating content going down, the time to generate content going down, means you can just be doing more of the things that you are doing right now without any of the bottlenecks of time, which I think is a massive opportunity for creators. And to find us, we're on X at o.xyz, just typed out. And I'm everywhere with my first name, Nick, plus the o.xyz typed out.
All right, dear audience, you heard it here first. In the era of generative AI, you and your creativity is the most valuable IP. Let's have a round of applause for our amazing panelists, Olska, Anastasia, Nick. I'm Blake Lezenski, your moderator. NFC Summit, thank you for having us.
Thank you.